CTV News with Matt Grillo.
Good evening. There is shock and devastation after a Montreal kosher restaurant was destroyed by fire early Saturday morning. Montreal Police Arson Squad is investigating, and now the owners of the restaurant and neighboring businesses are speaking out. Sweet Arasi reports.
Standing in the ashes of what was once his restaurant, Mayor Azarat says he is still trying to come to terms with what's happened.
It was literally people coming to our home and knocking on the door and telling us the crazy news.
The kosher restaurant Noam on DeCarry Boulevard was completely destroyed by fire early Saturday morning.
I was shocked of the place, of how it looks.
But because it was Shabbat, Azarat, who's the co-owner, says it wasn't until sundown that he arrived on the scene and saw the damage with his own eyes. The Montreal Police Arson Squad is investigating, as the evidence suggests the fire was deliberately set. Security footage captured a man lighting the fire before fleeing the scene. The owner of the building, who purchased the property nearly 40 years ago, says he can't understand why anyone would do this.
It's got a lot of history for me, and it was very sad to see what unfolded on Saturday morning.
You hear a fire you're expecting, but to see what we saw was devastating.
The complex is home to several businesses. Next door, the owner of Garage DeCarry, who has operated there for 18 years, wants to see justice.
That there's no place for this stupidity in a normal neighborhoods or anywhere, you know. There's no part of this.
Montreal police say they are investigating all possible motives. The restaurant had been open for just 2 years and employed around 30 people. Azarat says it was named after his best friend who passed away. He says Noam was more than just a restaurant. It was home, and despite this setback,
Noam is not going anywhere.
The owners say they are determined to rebuild. Sweet Arasi, CTV News.
Montreal's fire department is investigating a vehicle fire that damaged the exterior of a mosque in Côte-des-Neiges, NDG. Firefighters responded to a call at 2 a.m. Friday about a truck on fire that was parked between two buildings on Avenue de Courtrai. One of the buildings was Beitul Mukarram Mosque. Flames from the vehicle spread to a container parked near the mosque, damaging both the container and exterior of the building. Investigators say the cause of the fire is not yet known, and for now, it has not been deemed suspicious. 80 firefighters were called to a seniors' residence on de la Vérendrye near Le Caron Street in the southwest borough. The fire broke out just after 7 p.m. tonight, but was under control within 2 hours. 2 people suffered smoke inhalation and were examined by paramedics. The cause of the fire is unknown. WestJet flight attendants went on strike Sunday morning, and that means a group of 50 Quebec athletes and their staff are stranded. Their dream to play in a once-in-a-decade championship in doubt. Quebec's senior women's full-contact football team was booked to fly on Monday to the national championships in Saskatoon. The athletes raised funds for airfare, hotels, and meals. The tournament is from August 3rd to the 8th, with their first game set for Wednesday. One of the few options the team has left is to book new last-minute tickets on other airlines, but that would be costly.
It's kind of a last-minute thing where either we decide to go ahead and get those expensive tickets, then we have to raise, again, a new amount of money that we were supposed to raise in the first place, because we're still spending money on this tournament. All the costs, you know, the total cost to send the team out there is around $145K. So we have a certain amount of money that we have to raise ourselves, but this, you know, cancellation just adds on and piles on to that.
Montreal aviation analyst John Graddick has some basic advice for WestJet travelers right now. If you're booked on an upcoming flight, wait until WestJet cancels the flight before making alternative travel plans of your own. Under the Passenger Bill of Rights, once WestJet cancels a flight, it must rebook you and pay for it on other airlines or refund what you paid. Graddick says patience for passengers is key to getting the best deal during the strike.
I say take a deep breath, sit down and wait. I know it's counterintuitive. You want to go out there and get another carrier to fix your grip. And if you can afford it, you'll probably lose all of your WestJet money. So my thinking is that, money is pretty important these days to Canadians who have tight budgets. So I would say wait for WestJet to come up to cancel the flight and then put the blocks to WestJet and say, this is the itinerary I want.
A Laval man is sharing his story of loss to encourage more women to be tested for ovarian cancer. It's a disease that's known as a silent killer because it's usually only detected at an advanced stage. Kelly Gregg reports.
At 38 years old, Marco Makrimanolakis is now a single father to 6-year-old Mateo.
The day of his birth was the happiest day of our lives. It was such an incredible moment.
Becoming a mother was his wife, Melina Tsigrolopoulos' dream. But since 29 years old, she had battled ovarian cancer.
And the worst part's about to begin.
Each piece of good news hard fought through the bad, like the day they found out their surrogate would be having a boy.
After we find out that it was a boy, we find out the prognosis of the cancer coming back, which was 3 to 5 years at the time. So we're heartbroken.
Melina's cancer was only detected after surgery. By then, it was already stage 3.
There was no real screenings at the time, especially for someone that's so young.
And that's a common problem with the disease.
By the time the women get symptoms, the cancer has grown to quite an extensive stage.
It's estimated 680 women will be diagnosed with ovarian cancer in Quebec this year. For the past decade, Dr. Lucy Gilbert has been developing an early detection test that's now awaiting Health Canada approval for commercial use.
By taking these cells from the uterus, we can detect it at its very early stage.
Come with me to chemo today.
Now, at the very same hospital where she was receiving treatment, a room bears Melina's name.
Find something you can hold on to.
In the last months of her life, she had the opportunity to take a family vacation to Costa Rica. They had also planned to celebrate her birthday early, but in the end, she didn't make it.
She always told me that when it becomes unbearable for her, she will let me know. So the day she passed, it was the first time she actually said, sorry. It was the first time I heard her tell me that she was tired. And that she's had enough.
Melina died in June at just 37 years old. Kelly Gregg, CTV News.
The 5,000-kilometer annual journey of the Monarch butterfly is one of the most amazing migrations in the natural world. The 5-gram insect flutters from Quebec and Ontario all the way to Mexico, where it spends the winter. And this week is the International Monarch Monitoring Blitz. Teams of volunteers count the butterfly's host plant, the milkweed, and monarchs in their caterpillar stage. Getting a snapshot of the monarch population is important since it has fallen by 90% in 30 years.
First one, obviously, is habitat destruction. So the summer breeding habitat where, we would find a lot of milkweed, especially on the edges of agricultural fields, for example, and in open prairies. Those are the habitats that have been either destroyed and turned into housing, but on the agricultural side, there's been a lot of pesticides and herbicides that's been used to eradicate any plant that is not crop, that competes with the crops that are growing. So that's had a big impact.
The Monarch Monitoring Blitz goal this year is to rally 10,000 volunteers all around North America, and the movement was started right here in Montreal 10 years ago.
Weather brought to you by Gratian Scaff's 50th anniversary gift event. Get a complete second pair and sunglasses as a gift.
Now for a look at your forecast. All that rain seems to have cooled things off. It's 22 in Montreal, 23 in Sherbrooke, 20 degrees in Quebec City. More rain is expected tomorrow with risk of a thunderstorm. The high is 23. It will clear up though on Tuesday. Plenty of sunshine, 27 degrees is the high. Mostly sunny on Wednesday and 29 degrees. But the clouds and rain come back to close out your work week. After the break, Pride festivities have kicked off in the city and there's a lot to do. We speak with journalist Richard Burnett. Pride celebrations have begun in the city. For more than a week, there will be events, activities, and parties taking place celebrating the LGBTQ+ community, and the Pride Parade is set for next Sunday. Joining us now to talk more about what to expect is Richard Bugs Burnett, an arts and culture journalist. Hi, Richard. Good to see you.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Always. So, 20-year anniversary for Fierté Montréal. They're the organizers of this, but Pride goes further back than that, and you were there for the beginning. So talk to me about that time.
Well, I mean, Pride goes back to all the way back to 1979 in Montreal. Well, before I started organizing Pride. The original Pride Parade was in 1979. It was organized by a group called La Brigade Rose, which was founded by the late John Banks. And they attracted 52 marchers to their march that year. And it was to mark the 10th anniversary of the Stonewall riots in New York City in 1969. I became involved with Montreal Pride when Diversité took over organizing Pride. Diversité began in 1993. Their first Pride March that year drew about 5,000 people. I came on board in about January 1994. Diversité was Montreal's really first Pride organization, and we ran a shoestring operation on a shoestring budget. I remember our budget for 1994 was $42,000. In 1995, our total budget was $60,000. Today, Prides have $1 million budgets, and although they do have a core team of volunteers, they have paid staff. When I organized Pride in Montreal, we did not have paid staff. It was all completely volunteer, and you would have rent parties to pay the rent or to pay the telephone bill. You know, in those days, you didn't even have social media. It was, you know, you would send out press releases by fax to newsrooms across the city. It was a different time.
I want to ask you, Time Out Montreal recently posted about the parade on social media. It received a lot of reaction. There were some concerning comments, to say the least. Is that a worry for the community, and do you think that means some more work is needed in terms of building acceptance and tolerance?
That's a great question. You know, I've been a working journalist for about 35 years. I used to cover LGBTQ issues for the Montreal Alt Weekly Hour newspaper, where I launched my column $3 Bill, which it still is the only LGBTQ syndicated column in Canadian publishing history. That was launched actually 30 years ago this week, and 30 years ago, I would get a lot of mail. In those days, we didn't have social media, so you would get emails, you get letters via Canada Post. I got a lot of death threats. It really hasn't changed much in the 30 years since. And I would say what's amplified the hate is social media. So as social conservatism, as right-wing governments, conservative governments come to power, it has emboldened people to write hateful comments. You look at the Time Out Montreal piece. I've been writing a Pride guide for Time Out Montreal for years now, and I mean this year there's like 1,000, 1,500 hateful comments. How many of them are by bots? I don't know, but it just shows that the environment has emboldened people to speak their minds. But I am very happy that there's a heightened police presence in the village. I am pleased that they put concrete blocks in the village, and 10% of Montreal Pride's budget is for security. So I'm not particularly worried that anything is going to happen, but I do want to tell people that you know, it's important to remain vigilant. We live in a gay positive, queer positive city, but tolerance is not acceptance. I always tell people that tolerance is hypocrisy, and we must remain vigilant, because with the flick of a switch, you never know what could happen.
Really quickly here to wrap up with more details on the festivities. No shortage of activities beyond the parade. What else can people check out over the next week or so?
Well, the highlight, it was a diversity innovation with the community days. That's going to be on August 7th and 8th. I will be actually at the Fug kiosk on Saturday the 8th from 11 to 1 p.m. The Fug magazine, of course, is the oldest French language LGBTQ publication in the world. And there are going to be lots of community groups, from sports groups to support groups, all kinds of community organizations. It's a really great time to kind of mix with people, meet people in the community, and see if there are things out there that interest you that you can get involved with. And I do want to say, for the parade on the Sunday, it starts at 1 o'clock in the old West Village. It will run east along René Lévesque to the current village. But at 2:30 in the afternoon, there will be a minute of silence. This is another diversité innovation that has been adopted by Montreal Pride. The minute of silence, where everybody puts their hands up in the air, and it's a minute of silence to honor all those we have lost to HIV/AIDS and to anti-LGBTQ violence. It's really important, and I think you can hear a pin drop. And then after the minute is over, everybody starts cheering, and it's a big celebration all over again. So that's always my highlight at the parade every year.
Okay, Richard Burnett, always a pleasure. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks very much for asking me, and happy Pride.
In case you missed it, the Shield of Athena is hoping to reach more victims of conjugal violence. It has launched a new website in more than 10 languages. Angela McKenzie reports.
For women living in abusive situations, getting help can feel impossible when facing a language barrier.
The languages on the website of the Shield of Athena are very representative.
The executive director of Shield of Athena, Melpa Kamateros, says the organization's new website has been a long time coming. It's now available in 11 languages, including Arabic, Ukrainian, and Greek.
The presence of language barriers, or the presence of or the non-presence of a network of support, or the presence of economic dependency. When it's encircled by other factors, the violence itself is reinforced.
The available languages on the site are spoken by Shield of Athena intervention workers and represent many of the more than 800 women seeking their services. The new site also contains resources, and there's a quiz for those unsure if they're being abused. Then there's the quick exit button. Kamateros says abusers often monitor their partner's online activities.
This is a sort of abuse as well, because it's surveillance. So we figured that a quick exit button would be something that would be very, very helpful in case, the partner came in unexpectedly and, she wanted to leave the site.
She adds demand for these services has skyrocketed since the pandemic. The hope is the new website will help reach more women.
We wanted accessibility, we wanted equality, and we wanted, justice for everybody in obtaining, the same information that people in Canada and Quebec are entitled to.
Shield of Athena plans to add even more languages to its website to help ensure as many women as possible can find safe haven. Angela McKenzie, CTV News.
After the break, one of the oldest Highland games in Canada is back for another year in Verdun. Today was Montreal's annual celebration of all things Scottish. The Montreal Highland Games and Festival was held on the Douglas Hospital grounds in Verdun. The event features a variety of Scottish athletics, pipe bands, Highland dancing, and Celtic music. The games bring together Montrealers of all backgrounds, but organizers say Scots have deep roots in the province.
Montreal, the Scots are one of the five group that build the city together. So you got the Aboriginal, the French, of course, the English, the Scots, and the Irish. So why Scottish culture is important? It's part of us. It's part of who we are as Montrealers. It's part of who we are as Canadian.
And that's it for us tonight. A programming note, all CTV News Montreal newscasts will be preempted on Monday, but we will be back on Tuesday. Have a great night and a wonderful start to your week.